Welcome to What the Mom podcast. You are listening to Doulas Petra
and Jacqueline.
Motherhood can be isolating and hard.
We are two doulas that want to provide a place that's safe to talk about all things mom.
From pregnancy, to birth, to postpartum, to parenting.
Join us as we have real conversations about real life. Hello.
Hi everyone, you're listening to Petra
and Jacqueline.
And this is What the Mom podcast. Cheers.
We are together again. So we are having wine.
That's right. Today we are going to be talking about our part 2 in what to expect
with your
second trimester
of pregnancy.
That's right.
Yeah, we're excited to talk about all the things that, most women would experience. Some don't always, but it's definitely some things that I definitely did experience. Not all of them, but what about you?
Well, every pregnancy was different. I find the same thing when I talk to people.
I know, same thing. Yeah.
So trimester 2 is what weeks?
14 to 28.
27.
27. I think 28 to 40 is... 28 to 40 is your third trimester.
Mm-hmm. Although 1 week probably wouldn't make or break it.
Probably not.
Like your symptoms just suddenly change.
No, probably not.
With
Absolutely
one extra
not.
week.
No.
Yeah.
So I agree with that. So yeah. Do you want to start?
Well, this is the time when if you had morning sickness, nausea, you start to feel better.
Yep.
Usually. I mean, there's always exceptions, but usually people say the second trimester is like the, I don't know what the saying is, but it's like the good trimester.
The easier.
Yeah.
They say the first one's really difficult.
Yeah.
And then the third, you're just exhausted because you have a giant baby in your belly.
And it's hard to move. You can't even bend over.
Absolutely. You can't tie your shoes.
Yeah.
Can't shave your legs.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. So yeah. But I would say and some people experience nausea and all that stuff throughout their entire pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
That's not an uncommon thing either. Mm-hmm. I personally didn't, but I would say that you start to feel better. Mm-hmm. They say that you gain more energy in this trimester. You have, you just feel better and you just feel more energetic and you feel like you can do more things.
Yeah.
And
I think the reason most people's nausea subsides is because you don't have that huge hormone fluctuation, right? Now it's kind of balancing out a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So what kind of symptoms would you experience?
Some might start to get stretch marks at this point.
Yeah.
The areolas, the skin around the nipple might darken.
Yeah.
That's because of when the baby is born, it's easier for them to see it and latch on.
So cool.
Our bodies are amazing.
It's so cool. Did you start to feel, what do you call it, like lightning crotch at that time?
I don't think in the second trimester you do. Not usually.
Not usually, but I mean, you still can feel like stretching. I would say that's when I felt like the stretching of my stomach a lot, where it's like you just feel like a little bit of pain in your tummy.
That's true. I remember with my first getting very itchy.
Oh gosh.
My stomach was just itchy all the time.
And that's the worst because they say don't scratch it because that's how you get stretch marks.
Yeah. I didn't get stretch marks with my first. I got stretch marks with my second, third, and fourth.
Oh, did you? Wow. I didn't at all, which I was kind of shocked.
The breast may also get itchy with growing as well.
Oh my gosh, it's awful.
Because you can grow a lot in the breast too.
Absolutely. Yeah. I would say for sure that would be one of the most annoying symptoms.
Yeah.
Being so itchy, and then you also can have your pubic line, like your there's a line that goes from the top of your belly button to the bottom of your pubic bone.
Yeah. Not everyone has it, but
it's crazy. Yeah, I had it. I swear, you still can see it. Does it ever go away?
I don't know. I never had it.
You didn't have it?
No.
What? I think I still have it. Like, personally, I think I still do. Like, if I looked.
Yeah, a lot of women I've talked to said they did though.
Yeah, so maybe it just lasts a long time. You didn't have it with any of them.
No.
Wow, that's
But stretch marks
crazy.
too. I don't even have very many stretch marks either.
Wow. I didn't get any, so.
Yeah, and some women they get lots. So
But
it
my
changes.
sister got them.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, that sucks. But,
They say it's in the
hereditary.
family, but I'm the same. We're all kind of different too.
Did your mom?
My mom had stretch marks, and
Crazy.
at
my
least
mom
one
had
of my
them.
sisters, I think. I don't know if my other sister did.
Yeah, so my mom did not. I did not. My sister did.
Yeah.
So you just never know.
It's just how fast your body is growing.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
what causes it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm sure there's other symptoms too. But
really see.
those are the biggest ones. I would say those are the biggest ones
Yeah, I think so.
in this time.
I also do know some people get really bad acne when they're
Oh,
first
gosh.
pregnant,
Oh yeah.
and it
for
will
sure.
often subside by the second trimester.
Okay. Yeah.
But I mean, again, it varies.
It could be totally different for everyone. But yeah, this is the time where you want to think about having a nutritious diet. I look at the difference in the growth of my kids. I had a horrible diet with Ben. It was horrible. He was only 5 pounds 11 ounces, and I loved bagels from Tim Hortons and ice caps. I swear, I would have a headache, and I would just tell my husband, "Can you give me an ice cap?" And as soon as I would have a sip of it, I would be all better, and he'd be like, "You're ridiculous." But that could be also why he's so little. I don't know. But
Doesn't coffee stunt your growth?
it totally flippin' does. And so I was like, oh, sorry, Ben. But I didn't do that as much with Sophie, and like, she's not a small person. And same with Lorelai. And yeah, my diet was just, it was way better. So, I mean, it is huge to eat more of a nutritious diet.
Yeah.
It definitely helps the
Yeah, it's
baby's
true.
growth and stuff, because everything that you eat is going to the baby, obviously.
Yeah. And it's important to get healthy fats at this point.
Yeah, like avocado is really
Yeah.
good.
Coconut oil.
Yeah. Yeah, even just like even cooking with coconut oil
Yeah.
makes a huge difference.
Yeah, it's true.
I did that too.
Yeah. And then speaking of nutrition, thinking about, are you taking prenatal vitamins? In the last episode, we kind of talked about this as well.
Yeah, we did.
Some of the options that you have with that. So if you haven't watched it yet, go back and watch part 1 for trimester 1 and what to expect.
Yeah,
And staying hydrated.
that's huge. You can actually have like contractions without
Yeah, that's
drinking
true.
water, and you might actually think, oh, I'm going into labor. But you're not. You're just dehydrated, and it just can affect your body like that. So it really is super important to drink lots of water. Absolutely. And also, when you're looking at prenatals, look at something that's going to be fully absorbed. I experienced something, like most people buy, like Materna is a big one. It's not that it's bad, but it's because there's just so much extra iron, and so if your body doesn't handle that well, it's just not going to absorb it into your body properly, and then a lot of the time you end up constipated, and that was me. And it was horrible, and I was like chronically constipated after that for as long as I can remember. And then I did the same thing with my daughter, so Ben and Sophie. And then in my last one, I was introduced to a company called Juice Plus, and it was just whole foods that were vine ripened, and they were in a capsule form. And I took those, and I knew my body was fully absorbing all of it. And I also took double dose, because they say you need a certain amount of folic acid, but I just got it the folate way, the whole food form. And I was not constipated once until after. It was like, well, towards labor, when you're just like, there's so much pressure down there, and it caused a little bit. But other than that, I never had anything. But I learned so much about nutrition and how important it was.
Mm-hmm.
So it made a huge difference.
Mm-hmm. That's great advice for sure.
Absolutely. And I wish I would have known being pregnant with the other two, because I suffered really badly. So
that's what we recommend to a lot of people as well.
Like even you took natural things, like you took the whole food form ones.
Yeah, I can't remember the brand, but it had a lot of vegetables and fruits in it.
And like that's what your baby needs, right? And so absolutely, there's lots of options, and some people's bodies can handle like the Materna and stuff, and it doesn't do anything to them. And then sometimes it makes it really, really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I actually talked to somebody, I think it was a doctor, and they said that that's what they find is like the prenatals or whatever, they'll just like be broken in half. They're not even absorbed. Like you'll find them if you poop or whatever.
Gross.
And I was like, well, that makes sense. Yeah, because it's not absorbed, so you want to look for something that's bioavailable.
Yeah.
So definitely keep that in mind, because that's way more comfortable for you and your baby.
True.
So yeah, eat more whole foods.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah.
The second trimester is when you also start getting more appointments. Because the first trimester, you only see your healthcare provider a couple times. Maybe once.
Maybe once.
If it's your first baby, maybe a couple times.
Yeah. I think the
not
first
much.
time I saw the midwife was like, where we actually had like in-person meetings, because we would like get together and we would talk about breastfeeding or like prenatal care, all kinds of things, right? And so I think that was around like 20 some weeks. Because you don't really need much, right? Like they
If
want
you're
to
a
know.
low risk pregnancy, you don't.
No, if you're low risk, they don't do a lot. But if you are high risk, then they see you more often. My friend, even she wasn't really high risk, and she still had a lot of doctor's appointments. So I was like,
So I guess it can vary, but generally
Absolutely.
speaking, the second trimester, you'll start
having
seeing them a little bit more frequently.
Yeah,
As the pregnancy progresses, you see them more and more.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The biggest thing, I guess, that people look forward to in the second trimester is probably the ultrasound.
Yeah.
They call it the anatomy scan.
You get to see the baby.
What's the other name? I can't remember the other name for it. But that's usually people say like this is the gender reveal one, because they can tell at this point.
Yeah.
But the point of this ultrasound is checking the anatomy of the baby, checking all of the body parts, making sure everything's okay. And then if you choose to find out the sex of your baby before the baby is born, then this would be the time that you get to do it. And this happens, 18 to 20,
18 to
I wrote it down,
22.
22 weeks, yeah. Yeah, and if you haven't had an ultrasound yet, it's not invasive at this point whatsoever.
No.
You lay on a bed, they put some gel on your stomach, and they put the
Ultrasound wand or whatever.
what do you call it? The probe.
Yeah.
And they just move it on your belly, and that's it. You just lay there, and you can see the baby on the screen.
And they'll show you all their body parts, and they'll be like, "This is the baby's back."
It depends who you have.
Really?
Some of them are not very friendly, and they
Okay.
don't explain it.
Well, I had a lot of people that were very kind, and I was like, it was good because they were like going over everything. This is your baby's back and their spine, and it looks good, and you know. Most of the time they do, but sometimes, yeah. Did you have someone that just was not very?
I did.
You're like, well, that's nice.
It's my first.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, which is kind of
The
sucky.
person didn't really explain much of what was going on.
And that's kind of sucky because it's like
kind of annoying,
first,
yeah.
and you're like, ugh.
And I've heard some other people tell me the same thing, that
I guess too.
they didn't
Yeah.
always. So it depends on who they are.
Not everybody has a bedside manner, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So that could definitely be.
What's something else that they do?
The glucose screening.
Yeah, that's a common one a lot of people do as well.
The diabetes screenings. So they make you drink something that has a lot of sugar in it. And they're testing you for gestational diabetes. I
call it the orange drink, right?
Yes, they call it the orange drink. I did it with Ben maybe Sophie. I don't remember. I didn't do it this time because I was like, mm-mm. And I even asked my husband. I was like, as long as you're okay with it, I'm not going to do it. And he was like, he said he was fine with it, so I didn't.
Yeah.
But anything where he didn't feel comfortable, I did everything. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you do it for any of them?
No.
Did you do it for the first?
No.
You didn't even do it for Honor? Oh, I didn't know that.
No, I don't even know what it tastes like.
Badass.
I didn't feel like I needed to.
Well, you at that point, though, had a pretty good diet, right? Like, you had already gone through your like, whole food, like, you were going, like, more.
I had some huge life changes before I got pregnant, yeah.
Right? So, like, you already were
I felt like I was eating pretty healthy. I wouldn't even drink pops.
So
and I
like,
hardly even ate candy. I'm way worse now than I was then.
Yeah, yes, I'll agree with that. Yeah.
But I ate, like, very, very healthy then. And so I was like, I feel like this is going to be a false
Your body
answer because my body can't handle that much sugar at once.
And then your body would be like, well, you have gestational diabetes. And you're like, well,
so
how?
I just told my midwife this, and I said, if there's another way I can check, I'll do that. But I guess here in Alberta, they don't do anything else.
You can do the finger prick. My friend told me about this.
You can do that on your own. The midwife doesn't do it to you, though.
That's right. You can go buy it if you really wanted to.
Like a diabetic.
Because my friend had, this time, she's like, if you were worried about anything, like, I can come over with my little strip things and test you. I'm like, I'm not worried.
Yeah.
So, I guess it's whatever you feel. I mean, in the first pregnancy, I didn't know anything, right? Like, so I just agreed to everything.
Yeah.
But now, knowing what I know now, I probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I was the rare anomaly that I researched everything.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. So my midwife was like, oh, I guess you don't have much to talk about here.
She's like, wow, you're smarter than me.
No, I definitely wasn't.
But, like, they might think that because they're like, a lot of them, they recommend it because it's the part of their practice or whatever.
It is recommended to take it. But everything that you do, it's always your choice, yeah.
Yeah, it is your choice.
It's just good to look at the pros and the cons, the
Absolutely.
benefits, the risks. Yeah.
With everything, yeah.
Yeah. But I do know everyone told me that it tasted disgusting as well, which also was a turn off to me.
You're like, oh, and then they make you wait because they have to monitor you.
Yeah.
I think you have to be there an hour or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then if you had a higher rating, you have to go for a second screening as well.
And then they make you fast. It's a bunch
fasting one, yeah.
Yeah. It's not fun.
So that happens.
It's like 24 to 6.
So the end of the second trimester.
Yeah.
Is when that happens.
Yeah.
Some people, I don't think they regularly do this, but some people will do the blood screenings.
Amniocentesis.
Yeah, I was going to get to that after.
Oh, okay. That's the other one.
Yeah, the blood screenings. So they're checking your blood for genetic anomalies.
Like trisomy 18.
Yeah, so if you had something you were worried about, then you could.
Then you could ask.
Do that as well. I think that's just taking your blood.
Yeah.
Checking, sending it to the lab, checking it. And then what you were saying, the amniocentesis.
Where they do the needle.
If it's another one checking for genetic abnormalities.
Yeah.
This one is not as common because there are risks to it.
You can miscarry.
It's literally a needle that has to be inserted
into the sac.
Into the amniotic sac to get some of the amniotic fluid.
Yeah, to come out. And
then they test the fluid because it's more accurate than the blood even, I think. I think that's why.
I think so.
Most people don't do that though.
No.
But that is an option that you can do in the second trimester if it's something that you're worried about. You can talk to your healthcare provider about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We personally did not, but I do know people that have.
Yeah, that's true. So along with like the symptoms that we have, there's also obviously risks when you're pregnant, and there's things that you need to watch out for. So if you're ever hesitant and you're not sure, it's always safer to go in and see someone.
Preeclampsia is a big one.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the biggest ones actually.
It probably is, yeah.
Because as soon as that starts to happen, your organs can start to shut down. Yeah. And it can be really bad.
Yeah. So you'll know signs for that because you all of a sudden you get like you start swelling.
Swelling,
And gaining weight,
huge.
and it's not like just your ankles, it's like kind of multiple parts of your body
Your
usually.
face,
Yeah.
there can be all kinds
It could be accompanied with like headaches or dizziness,
blurry vision.
blurry vision, yeah,
Yeah.
those kind of things. So anything that feels off, just go in and get it checked is always my advice. If you feel uneasy and you're unsure.
Because you can never be too overcautious, especially when you're carrying a baby.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If you ever have like severe abdominal pain or cramping, that's not considered normal.
Yeah.
Or vaginal bleeding. I mean, if you have some spotting here and there, that it might be okay. Usually it is.
Some women do actually have that throughout their pregnancy, and they're totally fine.
Yeah. Well, there's the show I Didn't Know I Was Pregnant, and some of them, they didn't know they were pregnant because they had some spotting and they had irregular periods before that.
Yeah, so they had no idea, and then there you go.
If it's like enough to fill up a pad, like if it's like a period, that's not good. If it's bright red, it's not good.
Yeah. So just
those would be reasons to go in and get checked, just to make sure.
Just to be sure, yeah.
Yeah. Vomiting blood would not be good.
Mm-hmm.
If you had painful urination, that could be the start of a UTI.
Which can also be super dangerous when you're pregnant too.
Yeah. I actually, as my first, had a UTI that went undetected.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. And it went all the way to my bladder.
Oh, really?
So then I had a bladder infection. So I actually didn't know I had anything until I started having back pain because it was in my bladder already. And I remember feeling this like back pain. I'm like, is this back labor? Am I like going into labor early? And I'm only in the second trimester, and I was freaking out. My husband came home, and I told him like I was in so much pain, like I couldn't move. I was like hunched over and like couldn't move.
Because it was that bad.
Yeah, and he's like, oh my goodness, if you're going into labor, this is terrible. Like we need to go. I think I was at the very end of the second trimester, so I had already hit like the age of viability.
So like the baby could survive.
Yeah, but it's super early, so then I'm like, oh no, this is not what I imagined. So we went to the hospital, and I thought, they said, no, you're not in labor, because they strapped me on to a non-stress test to check. Yeah, and they said, no, you're not in labor, it must be something else. I'm like, well, I don't know, maybe it's constipation. So they checked that, they took my blood work, they took my urine, and then it turns out that I just had a really bad infection. Bladder infection.
So they gave you antibiotics?
Yeah. So I decided to get the antibiotics because when it's already in the bladder, it's very severe.
It's very dangerous. It can go to your kidneys.
Yeah. So I was hooked up to an IV.
Yeah.
And on bed rest, and my back was hurting a lot.
Wow.
And my husband just went and got probiotics for me, so.
Yeah.
He got some plain yogurt, and he got sauerkraut. He's like, eat it. But I did get better, so. And now I always tell people, if you have any kind of signs of anything,
just be careful.
Be careful.
Yeah.
I just ignored stuff. Right?
They can lead to complications. And like we said, it's better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, heart palpitations, you said.
Yeah, that's true. High fevers could not be good either because that could affect the baby.
Yeah.
So like, if maybe it's not like the specific number, but if you're having a high fever, above 38, you need to kind of start thinking, okay, this might not be safe.
Yeah.
Contact someone. If you're in Alberta, you can just use the
811.
Is it 811?
I think it's 811.
I always get it confused.
Yeah, I think it is. I'm pretty sure.
The health link.
Just call HealthLink, and they'll be able to just talk to you about your symptoms.
They'll let you know if you need to go in or if you can treat something at home.
Absolutely. Like we said, it's just better to just know and be safe.
But most people don't have any of this stuff.
Nope. Not everybody does. Nope.
So it just depends.
It depends on your body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is I'd say the trimester that you want to prep.
Oh gosh.
The third trimester, it's like such a hit or miss, right?
That baby's coming.
You you might have like hardcore nesting and you might want to just get lots done in your third trimester, but you might not. You might just be exhausted and sore and not want to get up and do anything. You might even be on bed rest, right?
I was on bed rest, because I had a low-lying placenta.
Yeah. So
that was no good.
It's nice to prepare as much as you can ahead of time.
Yeah.
I guess preparing, like thinking about your birth.
Your birth plan, like what is it that you want?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you don't have one and you just go into it blindly, then interventions and stuff will happen. And that's why being a doula, we educate on things that they can do. And like I actually just met with someone and they are due in a couple weeks, and she just wasn't really sure what to expect, and I was like, hey, like I can share some things with you, and she just feels more calm and confident now going into her labor. But having a doctor, they didn't really explain a lot, and so that can be scary, right? So it's good to have that education and watch videos, learn about different things that could happen, learn about certain things that you can do for pain management, because there's a lot out there.
That's true.
And so your birth is your birth, and it's your story, and
it might not go according to plan, but that doesn't mean you can't try to plan for it.
Absolutely not. And at the end of the day, it's so important to just be safe. As long as mom and baby are safe.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think maybe we might be able to make a template for a birth plan.
Yeah, we
to share with you guys.
Yeah,
at some point here.
Yeah.
Within our busy lives.
Yeah, exactly. With our 7 children.
We have lots of plans, but
we do have lots of plans.
You just have to bear with us as we take our time.
Yeah, exactly. We want to work on a birth course together too. So
yeah, we have mentioned that.
Yeah, so it will come.
We have a few things in the works.
It will come eventually.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, just prepping, like if you are going to give birth at the hospital, maybe go do a tour just so you know like where to go.
Yeah, or a birth center.
You're not running around with your head cut off like a chicken, you know? You're just like, and like frantic, because I don't know, my husband was really frantic. I was in labor. He didn't know what to do, and so...
I think most are like that.
Yeah, most and like a birth center or a hospital or whatever, it makes you just feel more confident that you know what you're doing.
Yeah, that's true.
Who's at your birth? Envision that.
Yeah.
Sometimes that can change.
Yeah. If you're in a hospital, they might have
Yeah.
limits on how many people are allowed in the room, so you have to check that.
Sometimes things like COVID happen, and
Yeah.
you had to choose your birth photographer or your husband.
Oh.
And obviously she chose her husband.
Yeah.
So,
And I wanted photos of just me by myself in pain.
so just know
Just
that
kidding,
there's
yeah.
things that happen.
Yeah.
And
true.
that also might not go to plan.
No. And some people, they do like it nice and private. They're like,
Yeah.
I just want my partner here and the doula.
That was like me.
Maybe a doula, maybe not even a doula.
Mm-hmm.
And then the doctor or midwife. Some people are like, I don't care. Let's have a party. Let's have everyone here. That's how I am.
That's how Petra is. And I was like, oh no.
I'm like, I don't know. My house was busy, I think.
Your mom, dad,
Yeah.
me.
So my first, I was in the hospital, so it wasn't as bad.
But it was your parents.
My
were still there.
second, my mom was in the room, and my husband Tom was in the room, and then the midwives.
Okay. So your dad wasn't at Honduras, but was at Doulas.
Yeah. So then with my second one, Juliana, that was super busy.
Because I remember when you hemorrhaged.
Yeah, I had both of my parents. I had a birth photographer. I had a
Oh,
doula.
gosh.
I had both the midwives. And then, of course, my husband. And then at one point, I hemorrhaged, so then we had the paramedics.
Did you have a doula at one of your births or two?
Um,
You were going to
at the one.
You were gonna
And then
have
I was
a doula.
going to with this fourth one. And then you ended up coming.
That's right.
So you were my like unofficial doula.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. That's right.
Yeah.
And I didn't actually have a doula at my birth at all. I did not.
I had a postpartum doula after Julianne, after my second too.
You did.
Yeah.
And did you have help this time too?
I
Was
did
postpartum?
not. This time I ended up spending money on paying a house cleaner.
That's right. I thought maybe you did. Okay.
I decided that was my priority this time around.
Yeah.
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 And then my third, that was in the middle of the COVID pandemic, so I didn't even bother trying to look for a doula because I knew they wouldn't be allowed in if I had to transfer, and I did transfer.
And you did. So it worked out in your favor.
Yeah, so I didn't really have anyone that was very intimate, but
Yeah.
I don't know, it was different. It was nice, but it was very different.
Yeah.
And then with this fourth one,
There was
my parents,
a lot of
my
people.
husband, and you. I did not have
Oh,
a
my
phone for
baby.
this time. Yeah, you brought your baby with you.
I had a 6-month-old baby. It just came with me.
That's right.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
That was like when I was really thinking about being a doula, and I had a 6-month-old, and
You weren't sure, so I said, just come to my birth.
I came over at 9 o'clock. You already were
In labor.
in labor, like in hard labor,
Yeah.
like 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then she was born after midnight, like 30 something. And so
Yeah.
I was up all day because I have a baby, and I was up that night, the night before. And then I was at your birth, and then after she gave birth at like 12:30, then I let her sleep and her husband sleep, and I held on to the baby while mine napped with somebody else. No, she was
Your
napping.
baby was on our bed.
Was napping beside Tom. It was so cute. He was like holding her hand, and then they all fell asleep, and I snuggled the baby till like 4 in the morning, and then that was when the midwife left, and then I went to bed till 9:30.
Yeah.
And then I had to get up and go and be a mother and a wife and everything. But I was okay. So then I was like, okay, I guess I could do this. But that was the first time, and I was like, I was pretty impressed. I was like, I have a baby still.
Yeah.
And like,
Well, if I have another baby, you will be my doula.
there you go. Stay tuned.
Hands down.
Stay tuned.
This is not an announcement, I promise.
And then her husband watches it, and he's like,
What?
Petra! Well, yeah, he tells Jacqueline everything.
Yeah.
But for real.
funny.
Yeah. But it was awesome. Like, every birth is just different. So
It is,
just,
yeah.
just know that, like, even if she did transfer, everything would have been okay. And,
Yeah.
you know, like, of course it's okay to mourn that. I know lots of people who've had C-sections and they really wanted vaginal.
Yeah.
And you
It's true.
mourn that, like you really want that. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is that you and baby are okay and you're safe.
Yeah. That's
And
true.
that's the most important thing always. So yeah, always think about what you want.
In case of needing to transfer if you were doing a home birth, you also need to think about childcare backup if this is not your first.
Yeah.
And an emergency hospital bag. Because with my second,
Oh,
I
yeah.
had a bag packed.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm not going to need it, so I'm not going to really stress about this. And I did need
And
it.
you did actually.
And I remember I was laying on the stretcher, like we're ready to go.
Yeah.
My husband's panicking. Tom's like, oh no, like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, okay, well, I need my charger. You can go get it over there. Like, I have really low blood pressure, so I'm just super calm. He's like, this is weird. Like, why are you so calm?
Can I get my charger?
I'm like, oh
And
yeah.
you're like white as a ghost.
Yes. Oh yeah, and I want to drink my coconut water, so can you bring that with me too? And I just have the baby on my chest and like
And she's on
losing tons of blood.
stretcher.
Remembering,
Right.
and then I think of like slippers I didn't pack or something.
You're
and I'm
like,
like,
oh,
oh yeah, can you go grab my slippers too?
I'm getting sleepy.
Oh, and my lip chap. Like remembering all these things I didn't pack.
I'm getting sleepy now. No, but really, it is a real thing. When you were losing blood, when you were hemorrhaging, that happened to me twice. The
Yeah.
second time was horrible. I almost did need to go to the hospital for a transfusion. I'm glad I didn't. But you're very delusional. And you just like, it just like hurts.
Can.
It can. I was in pain. Not in the very beginning, but I was not as chill as you. Like, I was, like, panicking.
I just felt calm. And
You just felt
a little nauseous.
Oh, gosh, you feel so
And then
nauseous.
when I lost the most blood, my blood pressure was the lowest, was right when we got to the hospital. They were opening the doors of the ambulance, and I remember saying, I think I'm going to throw up, and then it's spinning. The whole room is spinning.
Oh, yeah, I remember that, too. It's such an awful feeling.
Yeah. So, I learned from that.
Yeah.
Third baby, I had a bag packed. We did transfer, but it wasn't an emergency transfer.
It's so funny, though.
So I was able to take my time going.
It's so funny, though, because I thought, this is my third birth. I'm going to be good. Everything's going to be great. I'm not going to have to transfer.
Yeah.
I made my bag, like, probably 3 days before she was born. Like, I was just in denial. I'm like, I'm not going to the hospital. I'm fine.
Yeah.
And then I did have to transfer, too, so.
Yeah.
You just want to be prepared. And good for my husband. He packed things that I didn't. He packed me body scrub or whatever and like shampoo. Because you don't think about these things, right?
Yeah,
like you're all covered in blood and it's like, well.
Maybe something else we should add to our to-do list is
Yes.
a hospital packing bag.
Yes,
Like what to pack.
for a mom
So I think-
and a baby.
Stay tuned for that.
It's not just baby. You have to think about yourself too.
Yeah.
Because absolutely you will want that.
And you just don't know how long you'll be there.
No, I mean you don't, right? So it's
And then
good
if
to
you
just be
are
prepared.
going, like planning to be in the hospital,
Yeah.
you need to think about all these things too anyways.
Yep. You do.
Yeah. Taking birthing classes is something else a lot of people will do
I never did.
in the second trimester.
Did you do that?
Um,
Lamaze class.
I didn't do like an official, I didn't do an official birth class. I did a lot of reading, watching videos, talking to people about their experiences. I did a lot of that type of learning.
Yeah.
And I did do the CD with hypnobirthing with my first, with hypnobirthing.
Oh, you did it with your
The
first?
Mongan method. Is that how you pronounce it? I can't remember.
Mongan? I've never heard of that.
The woman who wrote the book.
Oh,
It's her last name.
Okay. It worked.
Yeah.
Especially
So I did do it with my
before.
first, but it was just like normal hypnobirthing.
Yeah.
So then I didn't really do it with my second. I kind of did, but not fully. My third, I actually totally forgot about it. Life
Really?
was just chaotic at this point. And then
That's
I had
so
worship
funny.
music on in the background with that one though.
Which helps.
Which was nice too. And then our fourth baby is what I was like, you know what, the hypnobirthing was nice, I'm going to do this again. And I found the Christian hypnobirthing app and I really like that one too.
And it worked really well because you're birthing unicorn. Yeah.
It was hard though. It was still really, really hard.
It is. It's the most hard thing you'll ever have to do. It's the craziest thing. You're like,
But it feels amazing when that
How
baby's out in
does
your arms. It
one
feels amazing.
person's body. I saw something and it says that giving birth is equivalent to like breaking like every bone in your body or something. Like multiple bones. I'm like, that's nice. But really, you're right. As soon as, if you do not have drugs and you were in so much pain, as soon as the baby comes out, you don't feel anything. It's just gone.
Well, my sister, she had a few hospital births with epidural.
Did she?
Then she had hospital or home birth.
You're talking about Davina?
Mhm.
Really?
And she told me that
That's crazy.
she noticed a difference in like the hormonal
The
changes.
oxytocin, yeah.
Because not that having the epidural is bad,
No,
but it does change the hormonal makeup, right?
because it's synthetic.
Yeah.
That's why.
So you're giving your body the synthetic oxytocin already,
And it's not.
and your
the
body
same.
doesn't create the same amounts as it would
Yeah,
otherwise.
I know.
So then she noticed that when
That's
she had
so
her home
cool.
birth, she said it was a way different experience because once the baby was born, she had this flood of oxytocin that just like,
I know.
and then
It's
like
so
holding that baby with this oxytocin rush was like different.
It is. So
I think,
cool.
I can't remember the exact number, but I remember hearing that the amount of oxytocin that a woman has right after an unmedicated birth is like double or triple the amount of oxytocin at someone would experience at during an intense orgasm.
Really?
So,
wow.
Well, because when you have a baby, like all that pain, you need it.
True.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
It really is. And like, not to say that you weren't in pain, you just handled it like so well. Yeah. And I think that that's like the most important thing is like holding your breath and being able to just like breathe your baby out.
Yeah, not holding your breath.
Instead of like breathing into the contraction, rather than like if you're like pulling away, like you're just.
Part of me wishes I videoed some of the birth.
Opening. I wanted to video the whole thing. I did video at the end.
The very end, the baby coming out.
Yeah.
That's it, I think.
Yeah, but you were so quiet. It didn't matter. You were just like, yeah. You just sounded so quiet. You just would sometimes be like, oh, can you like put pressure on my back? Or like once in a while you would like talk. I'd be like, oh, are you still alive? But like, that's it. Me and your mom were like, what the? And then sometimes you're like, no, don't touch me. And we're like, okay, I won't touch you.
Yeah.
And then, so it's like, yeah, you just like listen to your body. But, yeah, it was just incredible to like see how you did it. And yeah, like I wanted to record my entire birth this last one because I knew it was my last. And I had to transfer to the hospital. And my husband was so busy with every second, put pressure on my back, like, like I was like screaming. I was not chill like you. I don't know what happened. I was never that crazy.
So funny.
I was never that crazy with any of my births. That's the craziest part. But with my last,
it was just different.
Don't want to do it again. Let's just say that.
That's so funny.
Yeah. And maybe it had to be super intense because I was like, I want to do that again. Now my husband's like, yeah, I'm good. Anyways, thank you. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, we hope you guys enjoyed this podcast.
Yes.
Learned something from it.
Yes. And if you have any questions, leave us a little comment.
Yeah. So with that, let's leave it at
cheers.
Cheers and what?
What the mom?